Have you ever stopped and truly thought about the moments that shaped your life, those special times filled with laughter and lessons learned, or the quiet struggles that eventually led you to the wisdom you carry with you today? Whether it's a vivid memory of a childhood summer spent in the countryside, or a recollection of a turning point in your adult years, each of these experiences forms a tapestry that is uniquely yours. And yet, so many people reach their 60s or beyond and suddenly realize that much of what they lived through, the funny anecdotes, the heartfelt insights, the secrets to persevering through tough times, could vanish if it's never intentionally preserved. When I talk about preserving memories, I'm not referring merely to keeping a few old photos in a box somewhere, or occasionally sharing a story around the dinner table. I'm talking about really making sure that the essence of who you are, your values, your struggles, your triumphs, lives on for future generations to discover and cherish. In essence, your memories are like gold, but more precious than any metal or gem, because they contain the real you, the parts of your life that no one else could possibly replicate. Think for a moment about how your children, grandchildren, or extended family might remember you in 50 years. Will they recall only a few random facts about your life, the dates when you were born and married, a couple of photos from your youth, perhaps a vague recollection of something you used to say? Or will they know who you truly were, the circumstances that molded you, the personality quirks that made you unique, the lessons you drew upon in times of uncertainty? Some people assume that as long as they have a family or a circle of friends who know them, that's enough to ensure their legacy is never forgotten. But we have to remember that life moves quickly, and the details of our stories can slip away if they're not carefully told, recorded, or shared. Your memories, after all, aren't just random bits of nostalgia. They connect the past to the present, showing how each generation influences the next, and they reveal the threads of resilience and adaptation that run through your family's DNA. Think about your own grandparents or great-grandparents. How much do you truly know about their innermost thoughts, the daily challenges they faced, the hopes they nurtured in their hearts? Perhaps you have a few scattered stories, but imagine how powerful it would be if you had a written record or a recorded interview, something in which they spoke directly to you. That would give you not just facts about their era, but a living sense of who they were. Now flip that around. By choosing to preserve your memories, you give your descendants the same gift you wish you'd received from your own ancestors. It's easy to say, "Oh, my stories aren't that interesting," or "Who'd want to hear about my life?" But the truth is, every person's life contains universal lessons, from small moments of delight to significant obstacles you overcame. You might not think that the specifics of how you made ends meet in your 20s or how you navigated a difficult relationship are fascinating. But to someone living decades later, that can be a revelation, an opportunity to see the world from your perspective and learn something that can't be found in any textbook. Still, the sad reality is that many people put off the idea of preserving their memories because it feels daunting or they think they have plenty of time. They might say, "I'll write my memoirs when life slows down," or "I'll interview grandma next summer." Yet days turn into years, and then into decades, and sometimes the chance to capture these stories is lost. That's why now is the perfect time to begin. Whether you're in your early 60s, your late 80s, or anywhere in between, you have a life story that's worth saving, and every year that passes without documenting it is a missed opportunity to leave a clear legacy. If you're worried about the technical side, like how to record your voice or whether you should try to write a formal autobiography, don't let that keep you from starting. Sometimes it can be as simple as picking up a notebook and jotting down memories as they come to you. Or you might sit with a family member who's good with a smartphone and record a casual conversation about your childhood. The key is to move beyond good intentions and take real steps to ensure your stories aren't left floating around in your mind. You might be wondering, "All right, I understand that preserving memories is important, but why should I watch this entire discussion? Won't just one or two tips be enough?" And that's exactly why I'm inviting you to watch until the very end, because near the conclusion, I'll be sharing something absolutely crucial, an approach or perspective that can tie all your efforts together, making the process not only more meaningful but also more likely to succeed. So be sure to stay with me right through the finish, as you won't want to miss that final insight. And while you're here, consider subscribing to this channel and giving this video a thumbs up, especially if you're someone who wants to delve deeper into topics that matter after 60. We talk about everything from leaving a powerful legacy to improving your daily routines and home environment, and your subscription helps ensure that you'll never miss out on new material that could make your life better. Let's also talk about the deeply personal dimension of memory preservation. Memories are more than just mental snapshots. They're the emotional and intellectual bridges between you and those who come after. Maybe you've gained lessons in patience from the days you worked multiple jobs, or wisdom about resilience from the time you faced a serious health challenge. You might not think these stories are anything extraordinary, but often it's precisely these real-life, down-to-earth experiences that resonate with younger generations. They see you not just as a parent or grandparent, but as a person who faced obstacles and overcame them. That is an incredible gift for someone who might be going through something similar, even if it's decades later. Think about how lonely a struggle can feel when you believe no one understands what you're facing. Now imagine someone in your family, maybe a grandchild who's grown up, stumbling on a journal or a recording of you candidly discussing the hardships you encountered and how you got through them. That moment of recognition. Wow, my grandmother went through something like this, and she found a way to be strong, can have a powerful positive impact on that person's life. Perhaps it will give them hope, or at least make them feel less alone. That's the power of personal history. It can guide and sustain future generations long after you're gone. On another level, preserving memories can also be a journey of self-discovery. There's something about taking the time to recall old experiences, sifting through them carefully, and figuring out how they shaped your views that can bring you closer to yourself. Sometimes, we don't even realize how many lessons or insights we've internalized until we try to articulate them in words. In that sense, writing down or recording your life story can serve as a gentle reflection on who you've become over the years. It can help you come to terms with past regrets or appreciate certain joys that you might have previously overlooked. It's like shining a light into corners of your past that might have been gathering dust, and in doing so, you may find renewed gratitude or closure. There's also a bridging effect between your generation and younger ones. At times, we see younger relatives engrossed in their own worlds, technology, friends, schooling, or work. They might not seem immediately curious about your childhood. But as they grow older, or perhaps when they face significant life events, they may wish they had asked you more questions. Leaving a tangible record of your memories ensures that, no matter what, your experiences are there to be accessed whenever they're ready to learn about them. Even if you and your grandchild have trouble finding time to chat in the present, maybe 10 or 20 years down the line, that grandchild will pick up your journal or watch a recording you made and feel a deep connection to you. It's like sending a gift to the future, one that can't be replicated in any other way. Of course, the question often arises, do we truly want to share everything? There might be moments in your past that are painful, awkward, or even shameful. Deciding what to include in your legacy is deeply personal. You may choose to speak about hardships in a constructive way that highlights how you overcame them, or what you learned in the process, rather than delving into details that could hurt or confuse family members. Or you might feel that telling the unvarnished truth is important, trusting that honesty has its own healing power over time. There's no single correct path here, but it's worth reflecting on how you'd like to be remembered and what aspects of your past might illuminate valuable lessons for those who come after you. In any case, whether you opt to share mostly lighthearted recollections or a broader range of experiences that include heartbreak and mistakes, the act of preserving your memories in a thoughtful, organized way is a testament to the fact that your life story matters. It's not about polishing your image or making yourself seem perfect, quite the opposite. The truly compelling family legacies often reveal moments of vulnerability, perseverance, and personal growth. Those are the stories people remember. They're the moments that show how love, faith, determination, or creativity helped you navigate uncertain waters. By speaking about them openly, you allow future generations to see their own struggles reflected in yours. There's also a more communal aspect to consider. Sharing memories can spark conversations with relatives who might also recall events differently. Perhaps you have siblings who remember a particular childhood vacation in a completely different way. By preserving your account, you bring your perspective into the family narrative, and that can lead to deeper connections and understanding. Sometimes, what starts as a simple memory project can evolve into a bigger family endeavor, where multiple people contribute their viewpoints. That, in turn, fosters unity and warmth. And it can strengthen bonds not just among people your own age, but across generations. If you're not sure where to begin, you might think about the times in your life that stand out most vividly. It could be your earliest childhood memory. Maybe you were 4 years old, smelling fresh bread in your grandmother's kitchen. Or it might be the day you graduated from school, feeling both excitement and nerves about the future. You could recall your first date, your wedding day, or the birth of your child. You might think about a day you faced a major loss and how it reshaped you. Starting with the memories that carry strong emotional weight can make the process more meaningful. Another angle is to consider smaller, everyday details from your past that younger people might not know. For instance, how did you keep in touch with friends before the internet existed? What did a typical Saturday look like when you were a teenager? What kind of music did you dance to? And what were the fashions of the time? These things might seem ordinary to you, but they can be fascinating to someone growing up in a completely different era. They paint a richer picture of what life was like in your youth. Don't forget that preserving memories doesn't have to be a solitary task. You can team up with a family member who's enthusiastic about family history. Or perhaps a close friend shares your interest in capturing the spirit of your generation, and you can interview each other. This communal approach can take the pressure off trying to remember every detail on your own, and it often brings out stories you might have forgotten until someone else's comment sparks your memory. And if you're nervous about the idea of putting yourself out there, remember that you get to control the format. If writing feels too formal, try speaking into a voice recorder or having someone film you in a relaxed setting. If you love writing, keep a personal journal or write short essays. You might also consider an online platform where you can privately store your memories, locked with a password or shared only with those you choose. The important thing is to get started in some manner, even if it's small. Let's pause here and talk about the additional benefit of introspection. As you gather your memories, you may well find that certain unresolved emotions come up, or you notice patterns in your life you hadn't seen before. This can be therapeutic, giving you a chance to process some of the joys and sorrows you lived through. Sometimes, seeing your life laid out can help you come to a deeper acceptance of events, or even spark new creative ideas about the future. Don't underestimate how preserving your story can also nurture your personal growth. Now, before I go on too long here, I want to remind you of something important. Please be sure to watch until the end, because as mentioned, I'll be sharing a crucial perspective that ties all these thoughts together, making sure you can preserve your story in a way that truly resonates and stands the test of time. And of course, if you're enjoying these insights so far, hit that subscribe button and give this video a like. It not only supports this channel but also ensures you'll keep receiving content that can enrich your life and the lives of those around you. Returning to our main theme, it's also worth highlighting the emotional significance for your loved ones. If you've ever lost someone dear to you, like a parent, sibling, or a close mentor, you probably know the pang of regret that comes from wishing you had asked them more questions. Maybe you wanted to know how they felt at your age, or how they managed a particular hardship, or what they dreamed of becoming when they were young. Once they're gone, those answers may be gone too, unless they left behind some kind of record. By proactively sharing your story, you spare your own family that sense of not knowing. You give them a precious insight into your mind and heart that can't be substituted by anyone else's perspective. Another crucial aspect is that, in many cultures, elders are seen as the keepers of wisdom. But in modern times, with so much focus on technology and instant communication, it's easy for younger generations to overlook the depth of knowledge that comes from life experience. Writing or recording your memories is a gentle, humble way of saying, "I've walked this path, and here's what I learned." If this can help you avoid mistakes, find hope, or simply laugh at the small absurdities of life, then I'm glad to pass it on. It's a quiet legacy, one that doesn't demand recognition but offers guidance and comfort when someone chooses to access it. And if you ever doubt the value of your memories, Imagine a scenario in which you're able to read the personal diaries of a great-great-grandparent who lived through historical events you've only heard about in school. Wouldn't that be fascinating? Wouldn't it give you a sense of connection to your roots that no documentary or textbook could provide? That same fascination is what future descendants can feel about you, once they see your story in your own words. Even if you think your life was ordinary, or that you didn't do anything special, remember that your perspective on the times you lived through is unique. You might think, "Oh, I just held a regular job and raised a family, nothing special there." But how you raised that family, how you balanced work and home, how you dealt with social changes, or what your neighborhood was like, these details can captivate someone who grows up in a vastly different world. Younger people sometimes have no idea what day-to-day life was like even a few decades ago, let alone how it felt to navigate certain cultural, economic, or technological shifts. You also provide a template for coping with issues that seem universal: heartache, love, disappointment, success, failure, and all the rest. Even if your descendants face challenges that look different on the surface, like dealing with new forms of technology or social norms, many of the emotional core experiences are the same. The courage to try again after a failure, the love that binds family members together, the sense of community, or the longing for it, these are timeless. By articulating your own experiences, you let future generations glean emotional and ethical lessons that can help them find their footing. Let's not forget the simpler joys as well. Sometimes, a family's best bonding moments come from humorous or quirky stories passed along. Perhaps you had a silly mishap on a long-ago vacation that, in hindsight, is downright hilarious. Or maybe you had a tradition that made holidays special, something that no one else in your circle of friends has ever heard about. These charming tidbits can become a part of your family's collective identity, retold at gatherings and passed on to children who never got to experience them firsthand. In this way, memories aren't just serious lessons, they can also be a source of laughter and warmth. As you reflect on what kind of legacy you want to leave, think about whether there's a particular set of values or a worldview you hold dear. Are you someone who learned about generosity from your mother and then taught it to your own kids? Do you believe in the power of gratitude or the necessity of speaking one's mind? Maybe you have a personal philosophy about facing adversity that you developed over many years. Sharing these aspects of yourself can guide your loved ones in more ways than you might imagine. Instead of them guessing, "How would Grandma have handled this situation?" they can read or hear your voice explaining exactly how you approach similar challenges. That's a real treasure. Another subtle benefit is that preserving your memories can reduce misunderstandings or gaps in the family narrative. Sometimes, younger relatives only get bits and pieces of a story, or they make assumptions that turn out to be incomplete. By offering a fuller account in your own words, you ensure that your story isn't distorted or lost in fragments. This is especially important if your life included complex events or relationships that need context to be understood. You might be doing a service to the peace and harmony within your family by clarifying your experiences. Keep in mind as well that memory preservation doesn't have to be an all-or-nothing venture. You don't have to produce an exhaustive biography that starts with, "I was born in," and ends with, "Now here I am in my 80s. You could focus on a few key periods or themes, like your earliest childhood, your career journey, or the times you traveled. You could write or record short stories rather than one gigantic memoir. This modular approach can be less intimidating and easier to handle if you only feel motivated to work in small bursts. Over time, those short pieces might form a tapestry of your life. And if you're enjoying hearing these ideas, now is a perfect time to consider hitting that subscribe button to stay connected with all our upcoming content. And don't forget to give this video a like if you find value in preserving personal histories. That simple action helps this channel grow and allows us to bring more insights your way. Speaking of growth, let's briefly touch on how memory preservation can actually spark new experiences in your present. Sometimes, recalling an old passion, say your youthful love of painting or dancing, can remind you how much you used to enjoy it, prompting you to revisit that activity now. Or maybe, while telling a story about a best friend from your teenage years, you feel prompted to look them up or see if you can reconnect. In this way, Documenting your past can revitalize your current life in surprising ways. You might even find yourself planning a small trip to revisit a town you lived in years ago, or deciding to pick up an old hobby just to see if it still brings joy. Furthermore, memory preservation can open a channel of conversation with grandchildren or younger folks who might initially seem uninterested. If you share a story about how you used to gather around the radio as a child, or how you handled socializing before smartphones, it can spark curiosity in them. They might start asking follow-up questions, or realize that you have a perspective on modern technology that they hadn't considered. It can break down that generational divide in a meaningful way, giving you both more insight into each other's worlds. And if you happen to worry about the potential reaction, whether younger people will judge or dismiss your experiences, remember that you're doing this as an act of love and legacy, not because you're seeking praise. Even if you don't see immediate enthusiasm, your words can have a lasting effect. Perhaps years from now, a family member will open a drawer, find the notebook or watch the video you made, and have a revelation about the richness of your life and the era you lived in. Sometimes, the real impact of preserving memories isn't visible until well after you're gone, and that's okay. You're leaving a gift for the future. Also, be mindful that preserving memories can come in many forms. You might combine photographs with written captions, create a family recipe book that includes not just the ingredients but also the stories behind each dish, or record an audio diary on your phone. You might gather a small group of friends and do roundtable storytelling sessions that you record, each friend contributing a snippet of shared history. There's incredible freedom in how you approach it, so don't feel locked into one format. Choose something that feels natural and accessible to you. And if technology isn't your strong suit, you can always collaborate with someone who's more tech-savvy. They might help you digitize old family photos or set up an online folder where your typed or recorded stories can be stored safely. This collaboration can be fun and also give a younger relative a fresh appreciation for your life. By now, you might be feeling a surge of excitement or perhaps a bit of anxiety, thinking, "Yes, this is important, but where do I even start?" That's precisely why I want you to keep watching through to the end, because I'll be offering that crucial piece of perspective that can make the difference between letting this become just another unfulfilled plan and actually preserving your memories in a way that stands the test of time. So please keep this video playing. Every sentence I share is building toward that key insight. Lastly, I want to remind you why your memories truly matter. You've lived through changes in society, technology, relationships, and personal growth that younger folks haven't yet faced. You carry within you the evolution of decades, packed with transformations that shaped you into who you are now. That's not something trivial. It's a living tapestry of wisdom, resilience, humor, sorrow, triumph, and compassion. You might feel ordinary, but no life is truly ordinary. Each story has the potential to resonate with someone else out there, especially within your own family or community. By deciding to preserve your memories, you're affirming that your life counts for something more than just your immediate experience. You're passing on the intangible, inspiration, guidance, identity, and a sense of continuity. And in a world that often feels fragmented or rushed, that sense of continuity can offer a kind of anchor to those who come after us. They'll see that they are part of a lineage that faced difficulties and joys, that adapted and persevered, that loved and lost and kept going. And that, my friend, is priceless. Let me give you a small nudge to do something today, even if it's tiny. Maybe you'll open a blank document on your computer or phone and start typing a paragraph about your earliest recollection of home. Or you'll pull out an audio recorder and just talk for 5 minutes about a pivotal event in your youth. Even that modest action is a victory, because you've begun the process. And once you have a small portion done, you may find you're motivated to keep going. Perhaps you'll share it with a friend or relative, gather their feedback or interest, and then the momentum builds. Before you know it, you've documented chapters of your life that might otherwise have remained hidden. And if you need encouragement or guidance along the way, that's what communities like ours can provide. That's why subscribing is so important. We explore various strategies, tools, and motivations that keep you inspired to continue the wonderful work of personal storytelling. The more we support one another, the more likely it is that countless personal legacies will be safeguarded from oblivion. By the time you look back, you'll see that you've left a precious resource for your family, a trove of stories that capture not just the facts, but the very spirit of who you are. That spirit is something no one else can replicate. It's the essence of your history, your personality, your heart. And that's exactly why it's worth preserving, no matter how tedious or time-consuming it might sometimes feel. Each moment you invest in writing or speaking your memories is a moment you invest in your legacy, ensuring that your love and wisdom extend far beyond your physical presence. So take a breath, pat yourself on the back for being here and for considering the impact your memories can have. Remember to watch this until the very end, because that final crucial perspective is coming up in our discussion of the concrete methods to preserve your memories, so that everything you're feeling right now will be channeled into practical steps. And absolutely do subscribe and give this video a like if you haven't already, because trust me, you won't want to miss the next installments in which we'll give you even more detailed tips on how to make the most of your life after 60, including how to connect with family, improve your daily routines, and find joy in every corner of your world. Your presence here means a lot. It signifies that you care about leaving something meaningful behind, and that's a testament to the depth of your heart. Now let's carry that caring spirit forward, make sure we harness the drive to safeguard what matters most, and step confidently into the realization that your memories are a beacon. They guide others, they connect us all, and they give you a way to transcend the everyday details of life. Stay tuned, because next we'll dive into exactly how to turn these intentions into reality, ensuring your story will never vanish and that your loved ones will feel your presence in the lessons you share and the warmth you express, even decades from now. It's time to dive into 6 practical, meaningful ways to ensure your memories don't slip away with time. Maybe you've already considered recording your life story or gathering old photographs, but when it comes to truly preserving your memories for future generations, it often helps to have a clear roadmap, one that gives you tangible methods and also explains why each approach can be so impactful. Now, before we begin, remember that each of these ideas can be tailored to your style, comfort level, and personal goals. You don't have to follow all 6 ways to the letter, nor do you need to tackle them all at once. In fact, sometimes selecting just 1 or 2 approaches that resonate with you the most is enough to create a lasting legacy. And if you're feeling ambitious, you can always expand and incorporate more methods down the line. One key point to keep in mind is that preserving your history is essentially a gift you're giving to your loved ones, and possibly to yourself. The process of consolidating, organizing, and presenting your memories is a journey that can bring up a swirl of emotions, nostalgia, pride, amusement, perhaps even a little sadness for days gone by. But in the end, the legacy you create will speak volumes about who you are, what you believe in, and the experiences that shaped you. It's a chance to be remembered not just as a name on a family tree or a face in an old photograph, but as a person who lived, breathed, and felt just like those who read your story many years from now. When we talk about preserving memories, it's not just about facts and dates. Yes, those matter too, knowing when and where you were born, the timeline of major events in your life, the moment you got married, or the time you moved to a new city. However, the real treasure lies in the intangible details, the love letters you wrote, the funny habits your children had, the lessons you picked up after failing at something that once broke your heart, the cooking mishaps that turned into family jokes, and the everyday routines that gave structure to your life. Those are the things that truly connect one generation to another, because they demonstrate how universal certain human experiences can be. You might initially think, "I'm no writer, so I can't do this properly," or "I don't have the skills to put my memories in any sort of creative format." But the beauty of the approaches we'll discuss is that they don't require you to be a professional author, filmmaker, or historian. Instead, they rely on your authenticity, your willingness to share, and a handful of simple tools or resources. With a little guidance, you can begin capturing your past in a way that feels natural and rewarding. Another point worth emphasizing is that each method can stand on its own, but sometimes they can also complement each other. For instance, writing down your story in a journal can be paired with recording voice notes, so that readers also get to hear your voice. You might combine a photo album with typed captions or short audio clips, turning a traditional scrapbook into a multimedia memory bank. Technology has made it easier than ever to be creative, but that doesn't mean you have to jump into complex apps or complicated recording equipment. Often, a simple approach is the best place to start. Finally, keep in mind that the 6 ways we'll be discussing are not a one-size-fits-all solution. Your life is unique, and so should be the way you choose to memorialize it. Feel free to adapt the suggestions to your personal tastes, incorporate your cultural background, or weave in your values and beliefs in a way that resonates with you. After all, the goal isn't just to produce a lifeless record of events, it's to communicate who you are, and why your perspective and experiences matter. So, are you ready to jump in? Let's talk about 6 distinct ways to preserve your memories, each offering its own blend of practicality and emotional resonance. As we explore these methods, picture the faces of those who might someday open your scrapbook, watch your video, or listen to your recorded words. Think about the connections they'll form, how they'll feel closer to you even if years or oceans separate you, and how your voice might spark a sense of belonging in a world where it's easy to feel disconnected from our roots. And here's one final little reminder before we start: you're not alone in this. Plenty of us reach a point in life, often around 60 or later, when we suddenly realize how fragile memories can be. It's a universal human desire to be remembered, to pass on wisdom, and to create threads of continuity that link one era to the next. The methods we'll go through are designed to help you do just that, in a way that honors your story while leaving room for whoever you share it with to interpret it in their own time and context. Now, let's open the door to these 6 specific ways. Each approach might initially sound simple, but as you dive deeper, you'll discover the extraordinary power contained in capturing even the smallest of recollections. The words, images, or voices you preserve can become a guiding light for someone who hasn't yet faced what you've faced, or an anchor for a relative who wonders where they come from and how your lineage has shaped them. In that sense, preserving your memories isn't just a project. It's a quiet act of love that can resonate far beyond the day you complete it. Method 1 centers around the timeless power of written words, whether in the form of journals, diaries, or a more structured memoir. Putting pen to paper, or fingers to keyboard, offers you a way to capture both the everyday moments and the profound transformations that have defined your life. Sometimes, people shy away from journaling because they imagine it to be a painstaking process of writing lengthy paragraphs every single day. But the beauty of a personal journal is its flexibility. You can decide when, where, and how much you write. If you want to scribble down a half-page reflection once a week, that's absolutely fine. If you'd prefer to write a more detailed entry each morning, that works too. The key is to make it a habit that feels comfortable enough so you'll stick to it over time. When you keep a journal, you're effectively creating a chronological record of your thoughts, emotions, and observations. Imagine future generations flipping through these pages, seeing the genuine version of you, the frustrations you faced on a random Wednesday, the elation you felt after hearing good news, or the quiet musings you recorded during a solitary evening. Journal entries can bring your personality to life in a way that a mere list of life events never could. Because they're often written spontaneously and without too much self-censorship, they provide an intimate window into your mind. And that raw honesty can be profoundly moving for someone who discovers it decades from now, looking for insight into your character. One of the advantages of writing is that it allows you to untangle the complexities of your own experiences. When something major happens, like a career shift, a relocation, or a loss, journaling can help you organize your thoughts and feelings. You might find yourself writing one day about the sadness or uncertainty you felt, only to revisit that entry weeks or months later and see how far you've come. Over time, your journal becomes a tapestry of personal growth, demonstrating how challenges have shaped you into the person you are. That, in itself, can serve as inspiration for anyone reading it in the future, especially relatives who might be undergoing similar life transitions. Alternatively, you might approach writing in a more structured manner by composing an autobiography or memoir. This can be done chapter by chapter, focusing on distinct periods or major themes in your life. Perhaps you dedicate one chapter to your childhood neighborhood and the games you played with friends, another chapter to your early adulthood struggles, and so on. Memoirs give you the space to delve deeply into pivotal experiences, weaving them into a coherent narrative that captures the essence of your journey. It can be a bigger project compared to daily journaling, but it also produces a tangible document you can share, print, or bind into a book for your family. If writing an entire memoir seems intimidating, consider a middle ground approach, writing short, standalone pieces on different topics or eras in your life. You might craft a few pages about your grandparents, describing their quirks and the time you spent together. Then another piece might center on how you met your spouse or learned a critical lesson in your 20s. Over time, these separate essays could form a mosaic of who you are. This approach lets you tackle your story in bite-sized chunks without feeling overwhelmed by the idea of writing your whole life story in one go. For some people, the simplest method is to keep a notebook or file on their computer where they jot down memories as they surface. Maybe you recall a heartwarming Christmas tradition and decide to write it down the same afternoon it pops into your head. Or you come across an old photograph and realize there's a tale behind it that no one else knows. You quickly type it up or scrawl it in the notebook, ensuring that piece of your history is preserved before it fades from memory again. Over time, these small anecdotes can add up to a substantial collection of recollections. You might wonder, do I need to share everything with everyone? The answer is no. One beautiful aspect of journaling or memoir writing is that you remain in control of what eventually becomes public. You could keep certain entries private if they're too personal or if they involve sensitive details. Meanwhile, the portions you feel comfortable sharing can be compiled into a volume that friends or family members can read. In this sense, journaling doesn't just preserve memories but also gives you a way to manage how your legacy is presented. Technology has also made it easier to archive and distribute written materials. You can scan or photograph your handwritten pages, storing them in a secure cloud folder. Or you might type directly into a simple document on your computer, which you then save or print when you feel it's complete. Some people create PDFs of their memoir chapters and share them with relatives via email. Others even use self-publishing platforms to print a small run of books that can be handed out at family gatherings. The possibilities are wide open, and none of them require advanced technical skills if you're willing to learn just a few basic steps. One question that arises is how to maintain the momentum. Writing is a discipline, and it can be easy to lose motivation, especially if you get stuck on a difficult memory or feel your entries aren't interesting enough. That's why it's crucial to remind yourself of your underlying purpose. Each time you sit down to write, even if only for 10 minutes, imagine a grandchild or a great-niece discovering your words decades later. Picture the gratitude they might feel for having these insights into your life. Let that vision propel you forward. You can also join a local writing group or an online community where members encourage each other to keep going. Additionally, it helps to diversify your writing style. If you find daily journaling to be too mundane, try composing letters to loved ones, letters that you'll never send, but that might be read after you're gone. Or pen an occasional poem, even if you think you're not a poet, just to capture the emotional essence of a memory. Sometimes stepping out of your usual format can reignite the spark that keeps you writing. The key is never to force yourself into a method that feels unnatural, as that might stifle your willingness to continue. Now you might ask, what if you have health concerns that make handwriting difficult, or if you simply type faster than you write by hand? In that case, by all means, type up your memories or use voice-to-text software. There's no rule insisting that journaling must be done in cursive on lined paper. The point is to choose a medium that aligns with your comfort level, so you can focus on the content rather than the mechanics. Some people even use speech recognition tools, dictating their thoughts and then editing the text later. That way, you don't have to worry about spelling or penmanship. Remember also that your writing need not be perfectly polished. If you make grammar mistakes or your sentences don't flow like a novel, that's okay. You're not writing for a bestseller list. You're writing for posterity and for the authenticity of your own voice. Sometimes, the small quirks in your writing style add charm and personality. Decades from now, those reading your words might appreciate those quirks because they reveal more of your real essence, as opposed to a sanitized or heavily edited version. If you do decide to share your writings during your lifetime, you might find that it sparks valuable conversations. Maybe your adult children never realized how much you struggled to pay for school, or how you nearly took a different career path. These revelations can deepen their understanding of who you are, leading to closer relationships. It can also remind them to ask questions before it's too late, opening the door to even more memories you can add to your written collection. Thus, writing can become a living dialogue rather than a static document locked in a drawer somewhere. Furthermore, setting goals can help you make steady progress. You might say, "I'll write 2 pages a week," or "I'll finish 1 short essay each month." When you reach a small milestone, reward yourself in some gentle way, maybe a favorite tea or a small outing. Over time, these accumulated efforts turn into a rich body of work. And if you ever take a break, don't be discouraged. Simply return to it when you feel ready. Even sporadic efforts, done consistently over years, can yield a remarkable archive of your life. Lastly, don't forget to label and organize your writings in some logical manner. If you're producing multiple files on a computer, create folders labeled by year or by topic. If you're working in notebooks, date each entry and consider adding a simple table of contents at the front, listing the pages that contain particularly significant stories. This small step will help future readers navigate your writings, especially if the number of pages grows over time. In short, writing, whether through personal journals, shorter reflections, or a full memoir, is one of the most direct ways to preserve your voice. It transcends generations because it offers your own words, unfiltered. People reading it decades from now get to experience your perspective as if you were speaking to them from the past, sharing not just the events you lived through but the thoughts that guided you from one day to the next. If you find solace in words and enjoy the introspective nature of writing, this method might well become the beating heart of your memory preservation journey. Method 2 shifts from the written word to the power of the spoken voice, captured through audio recordings or personal interviews. This approach allows you to preserve the nuances of your tone, your laughter, and your pauses in a way that mere text on a page can't replicate. Think about how remarkable it can be for your great-grandchild to not only read what you had to say but also to actually hear how you said it, picking up the warmth or excitement in your voice. One simple option is to use a voice recorder or even your smartphone's audio recording app. You can sit comfortably at home, choose a topic you want to reflect on, such as your first job, your courtship days, or a cherished vacation, and just speak for a few minutes. Imagine how, years down the line, a family member might press play and feel as if they're right there in the room with you, listening to you tell your story as naturally as if you were both sitting around a kitchen table. There's an intimacy to hearing someone's voice, complete with the little inflections and rhythms that reveal who they are. Alternatively, you might arrange a structured interview with a relative or friend. They can ask you questions about your childhood, your career path, your personal triumphs or heartbreaks, and you simply respond as if you're having a casual conversation. This dynamic can bring out anecdotes you wouldn't think to share if you were just talking to yourself. Plus, the interviewer can guide you to elaborate on points you might gloss over, ensuring that important details aren't lost. If you're game for more elaborate setups, you could gather several family members and have a roundtable discussion, recording the entire conversation. Everyone could share their perspectives, but the spotlight would remain on your life experiences. In this way, audio recordings become collaborative,